Hi guys, it's Key. I wanted to share my WebSockets library. It's a single file header only library. It's very simple, it's very compact. You can pop into any project, and it lets you use WebSockets for maybe like a client. You can also use it to implement a WebSocket server. So I'm going to start by running a web server with my library in it. So I'm going to go to qiwebsocks. We're going to build server. So I'm going to get the WebSocket server running, sudo server, like so. Get that server running. And now I also have my client here. So I'm going to run the client like so. It's going to launch a Raylib window, and I can see from some debug messages it's successfully connected to created a TCP connection to the HTTP server, and then it conducted the WebSocket handshake and upgraded to a WebSocket connection. So now we are connected to the server with WebSockets. So in this example, I can send binary frames. So this is 3 bytes of binary data. It's not masked, but you can mask it if you want. I'm also going to send text frames. So this is, let's see, a few bytes of masked UTF-8. So we can see that the server is also receiving the frames. We can also send pings. So I'm going to send a ping, and then the server is going to respond with a pong, which is what I'm seeing here. So yeah, we're receiving the pong opcode. And we can also send close. So close, and then yep, it just all the functions just return early because the close sets the connection to a disconnected state. But you know, the game's still running. You know, you can handle reconnect logic on your own if you want, and the server receives the closed frame and closes the connection, and it keeps running. So now if I run another one, it's like a separate connection is opened up. So and then you close again, handles it like that. So if you kind of take a look at how to use the library, it's quite simple. So let's see, you just have to start with start by including the WebSocket library, and you have to make sure there's a little define here that's defining the WebSocket implementation, and then you have to create a connection info object that'll store the connection to the web server. Then we have a frame queue to store the a queue of all the WebSocket frames that we're receiving, and then you call this qiwebsocks connect to connect to the server, and you pass it the connection or the connection info object, pass it the IP address. You can also pass it the port, the endpoint, and whether you want to use TLS handshake or not. It's usually recommended to use TLS handshake anyways. And then you can carry on with whatever game logic you want. And we also have, in order to receive the frames, you call poll frames on a regular basis. So whenever you call poll frames, it checks if there are any frames that were received during that time, and then you can get the number of frames received, and then it populates the frame queue with all the frames. And then for each frame received, you call qiwebsocks.h in order to load one of the WebSocket frames into the particular frame object. And then you can do whatever you want with this frame object. You can check the type of the frame object with frames opcode property, or you can use the functions that I've implemented here to kind of handle every single type of frame. There aren't too many frame types, so it's not too complicated. So you can call handle ping, which will automatically, which takes the frame object and it takes the connection and automatically sends a pong back, which is standard WebSocket behavior. You can also use handle text in order to read the UTF-8 into a char buffer. You can use handle binary to read the binary payload from the frame into a unsigned char buffer, and you can also use handle close in order to automatically close the connection if a closed frame is received and send a closed frame back. So And that's all of the receiving frames. And then in order to send frames, you can call send text to send a text frame, give it a char buffer payload, and then you can choose whether to mask it or not mask it. So this is the mask option. So this will send a 4-byte mask, and if a payload is masked, it's just XORed with the mask. So it's not too complicated. But if you want to choose to send an unmasked payload, you can specify nmask instead, like I am with the send binary command. So you give it a binary buffer, and then or just a raw data buffer, and then you send the amount of bytes you want to send, and then the no mask or the mask option. And then here's just sending pings to the specified connection. And in order to close a connection, you can send the close frame, and then you call disconnect, which will then set this connection info object to a disconnected state. And it's perfectly safe to call pull frames over and over. After that anyways, it'll just return early. If you turn off the debug statements, then you won't even see anything. The game will keep running like there's no problem. So that is a very, very brief overview. Now the library is still a work in progress, so I've set the max payload to 256 bytes, which, you know, it could be bigger, but you know, I'm just working on this. Who knows? I could do anything. As well as the server part of the program. So in order to make the server, you do need HTTP server already. This library only deals with the functions relating to the WebSockets implementation. So if I look inside the library, all of these functions are only dealing with WebSockets. Anything more specific to just HTTP in general, I do have a separate library for that, where I have separated the logic. So in my server code, I have a HTTP server running here, and it just listens on the specific endpoint WebSocket, and then it uses the functions from the WebSocket library, and it just responds accordingly. So the client can just use the WebSocket library itself, but if you want to write a server, you're going to need an already existing HTTP web server, and then you just put the WebSocket library alongside it, and you can make it a WebSocket server. So yeah, that'll be all for now. And I also forgot to mention, you can find my library at my library website, qiwebsocks.h. Scroll down to the code, or just press code here. Then you can see my WebSockets library here, and you can also see my web server here. So you can use both of these to create a WebSocket library, or if you have your own web server code, you can just use that, and then just tack some the WebSockets library on top. So this is the library. You can either just copy the whole thing, because it is a single file, or you can download the single file. And here's the example right here. You might have to do a little bit of tweaking though. So